Morning, everybody. This is Terry Wager's Generator Coaching. I'm doing this one solo today. Christine will be back tomorrow. But today we're talking about feeling overwhelmed. Morning, everybody. I think I went live, but I don't know what happened. I just had a blip. So this morning I'm talking about feeling overwhelmed. Terry Wager's Generator Coaching. Christine's taking the morning off. She's got some other things she's got to do. So I'm talking about feeling overwhelmed. Now, it's very interesting that a lot of people talk about being in a place of overwhelm. They talk about overwhelm as like some magical place that they get stuck in, they can't get out of, and they're in overwhelm. The reality is that it's a feeling. It's not a place. It's not something that's difficult. It's just they're feeling overwhelmed. And when we're talking about feeling overwhelmed, it's very different from being overwhelmed and stuck there. And so I want to stress that this is a feeling, and if you think about clouds, they just continue to move through. And so when we change our thinking around it, there's a different way to do that. And I'll come back to that and talk about that in a minute. I'll give you a way out of feeling overwhelmed in just a moment. And so I want to say that feeling overwhelmed does not come from too much to do, and it does not come from not implementing tasks, and it does not come from things not going your way. Feeling overwhelmed comes from experiencing things and not being able to identify what's going on with you. And so it's self-inflicted, and one of the other coaches in the world talks about this too. David Bayer talks about self-inflicted overwhelm, and the reality is it is self-inflicted. He's completely right. The thing that's different that I talk about is that it's an unconscious pattern of avoidance of our emotions. And so we have too much noise and we focus on getting things done and not enough time to do things, and our relationship isn't going right and we don't have enough money or time, and we're all over the place focused on all of this outside stuff, and we think that if we just get that stuff under control, we're going to be good and then we won't be overwhelmed. But it's an emotional issue, not a thought issue, and not a get things done issue. All of those things, getting things done or not enough time, or the wrong relationship or relationship problems, those are all distractions. They clog our emotional connection with ourselves, and then they clog our emotional connection with other people. It knocks us off balance, and it's very difficult to be intentional when we're off balance. And so what we really want to do is we want to stop. And we want to take a step back. When we're looking at that, if we look at people, you have two different people handling things differently. You have one that's overwhelmed, feeling overwhelmed, and they don't know how to get out of it, and they just complain about things all of the time, and people don't want to be around them because they stress us out. And then you have somebody that's in the same situation that is connected to their emotions, and they're feeling fulfilled, and they're feeling connected to themselves, and they're feeling connected to other people. And if things get done, they get done. If they don't, they do them tomorrow. And it's very simple because they have an emotional connection to themselves that they're aware of. And when you see high performance people that are performing at a real high level, getting so much done you just can't figure it out, it's because they're emotionally connected to themselves. Whether they're doing it on purpose or they're just they've learned how to connect to that emotion and not avoid it, they're doing great because they can identify what's going on inside, identify it, and move on. And so what we're talking about is a way out of feeling overwhelmed. And the way out is very simple. You slow down. You step back. And instead of looking at what I can get done today so I don't feel overwhelmed, because there's always going to be more to do, we surrender to the idea that we need to identify how we feel dominated in that moment. And when we identify how we feel in that moment, something magical happens that we just don't even know was possible. And I know it sounds counterintuitive to stop, slow down, and identify emotions, but that's the key. Because when we identify how we feel dominated, how we feel powerless, or how we feel worthless because we're not getting things done, or how we feel useless in the moment, it really just kind of opens up that chest of emotions and lets it all out. And then we can reset ourselves, and we can actually then on a more honest, balanced, intentional place, identify what's urgently needing to be done and what can wait till later. And we can start to commit to doing the things that we want to do now, identifying the emotions, identifying what we really want and why we want it, and then we can move forward very easily. And so the three things that I really kind of point out to people, and when I say kind of, I mean, I point out these three things to people so that they can move forward when they're feeling overwhelmed. One, notice the situation. Notice the story you're telling yourself, and notice that story is coming from some emotions. Whether you're feeling powerless, or you're feeling inferior, or you're feeling overwhelmed. Overwhelmed is really unfulfilled. And so that's a real piece, is like, if I say I'm feeling overwhelmed, I'm unfulfilled. I'm not identifying what's going on with me, and I'm not looking at my wins either. And so look at the things you're accomplishing and identify all of those different emotions that you're feeling dominated by at the moment. And you'll move forward very quickly because you start to realize that it's just a feeling. And just like the clouds passing by, our feelings pass by us too. So we take a step back, identify, reset, and then what really needs to get done? What's the one thing I can accomplish? And so number one, notice the situation. Number two, what emotions were triggered? And number three, after I've noticed that and let it go, what's the one thing I can do to move forward right now? And then celebrate that. Now, the reality is we want to accomplish things. We want to celebrate our accomplishments instead of just focus on what's not done. And so there's a real big piece of paying attention to what you are accomplishing, because that actually feeds our inspiration to do more. And so if you're having trouble getting things done, it's probably because you're trying to do too much yourself and you want to ask for help from people to actually lighten your burden. And a lot of times we'll ask, but we don't accept the help, and we start telling people that we can't do, or that won't work, or we can't do that, or we can't do this. Take the help. Accept the help and move forward with whatever you're doing. And it really comes back to, again, notice what's going on. Identify the emotions that were triggered, and then let them go, and find that one thing that you can do to move forward, to move yourself out of that feeling of overwhelmed. And as you do that, you're going to find that things get lighter and lighter, and they're much easier to organize because you don't have the emotions being all packed down on top of you, keeping you stuck and keeping you pressured. And so when we identify what it is, and I'm not talking about sitting in emotions, I'm not talking about crying over all of the things that happened or anything like that. I'm talking about just simply identifying it. Hey, in that moment, I felt worthless. I'm not worthless, but I felt that way. I felt useless. I didn't think I could do anything about the situation. When I tried, I made it worse. Great. Now that you know that, you can actually step back, ask for help. Or I felt powerless. I didn't know what to do. Again, ask for help. I felt frightened. Tell somebody and ask for help. The key here is identifying what it is, ask for help, and you move forward very quickly. One of the biggest problems that I've seen everybody that I work with is we have this idea that we have to do it alone and then go report back to other people that we made it through this. Life is not to be lived alone. Business is not to be done alone. I've never seen anybody sell something to someone that wasn't there. We have to do it together. It's a participation sport. And so use your support. Work with the people. Identify what's going on. Talk to the people around you with what's going on, and we'll feel less alone, more connected, and we'll be able to be more fulfilled. Empowered because we have the team. Empowered because we have the people in front of us. Fulfilled because we're actually making things happen. And that's what it's really all about. And so when we're looking at feeling overwhelmed, it's because we probably stopped talking to people and we cut everybody out and we're trying to get things done all our own with blinders on and not really focused on the fact that there's other people in our lives that can help us out and want to. And so it's really about bringing more people in to help us achieve our goals. And that, as far as my career, is all about coaching and working with other people. And I actually, when I start feeling that way, it's because I haven't reached out, asked for the help, asked for guidance, and I'm trying to do it all on my own. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, it's not about going to this magical, scary place of being stuck in something. It's about starting to reach out, identify what's going on, notice the situation, identify what is triggered inside you, and then take that one thing that you can accomplish, ask for help with it, and get it done. And you're going to see a totally different experience where you feel fulfilled, empowered, and really connected to yourself and what you're doing. So Terry Wager, Generator Coaching. If this was confusing, maybe you ought to contact me. If this sounded like you, definitely contact me. Generator Coaching, reach out, ask me more about it. I'd be happy to have a conversation on how we can help you stop feeling overwhelmed and start actually taking the actions that you want to take. Just connect with us in the comments below. Let us know your experience with feeling overwhelmed and if we can help you. Have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow. Christine will be back. We're super excited to be working with you, hanging out with you, talking with you. It's absolute fun to be part of your guys' lives. We'll see you tomorrow.